This is Professor Asif Iqbal. So in this session we are going to discuss about the tasks, process and threads. So in the last session we discussed about the types of operating systems. Under that we discussed about general purpose operating system and real-time operating system. So under real-time operating system, we are going to discuss in this session tasks, process and threads. So first we'll see what is a task. The term task refers to something that needs to be done. Generally we can say that task is nothing but something we need to be done. So in the operating system context, a task is defined as the program in execution, right, and the related information maintained by operating system for a program, right. Here the task is also known as a job in the operating system, or we also called it is a process. See, actually instead of executing a big complex program for achieving our target in any embedded system or any computing system, so usually we divide that a program into number of tasks, right. That tasks means number of tasks in the sense the bigger complex program is divided into small program, which we also called a process, right, based on its job, based on its task, right. So therefore we can say it is the term task, job, process refer a same entity here in the in operating system context, right. Then what is the process, right? So process is a program. Actually it is a part of it in execution. It is a program or a part of it in execution. Process is also known as instance of a program in a execution. It is a instance in a whole program in a execution. So next you can see here multiple instances of the same program can be executed simultaneously, right. Here why we are creating this whole complex program divided into number of process, number of instance, so that we can execute this process or this instance simultaneously. A process requires various system resources like CPU for executing the process, memory for storing the code, right, and associate variable and IO devices for information exchange. IO devices, information exchange. A process is a sequential in execution. See, whole program is concurrently executing, right, by dividing the whole program into a number of process, those process concurrently executing, but within the process instructions are executing sequentially, right. The structure of a process. So how the process structure is, the concept of process leads to concurrent execution of the task, so which I already told that concurrent execution is achieved through the sharing of CPU among the processes. So here we are sharing the CPU among the processes, right. Here the process mimic the processor in properties and holds the set of register, process status, program counter to point the next executable instruction of the process, and a stack for holding the local variables, right. Here this can be visualized in a figure. Here you can see. So structure of process is like this. The process here can have its own stack and working register, right, status register to show the status of its execution and its execution result, and the program counter which holds the address of the next instruction which is to be executed, and as well as the process is having a code memory where it stores its code, right? So here you can see when process gets in, see, a process which inherits all the properties of the CPU can be considered a virtual. It is like a virtual processor which is waiting for its turns for execution. When operating system allows its turns for execution, the processor get its turn, its registers and program counter register become mapped into the physical register of the CPU, and it will become like a virtual processor to execute the process, right? So here you can see the structure of process, the memory organization of the process is given here. The process actually holds different holds 3 regions in its memory organization. So code memory, where it holds its code, process code, and data memory holds the global data for the processor, and stack memory holds the local data for local data and variables to the processor. Usually stack memory grows in a reverse direction from upper address to lower address, whereas the data memory grows from lower address to upper address. See the program, the memory grows shown in by this arrow mark, where stack memory and data memory address growth is in the reverse direction. So in most of the processor and microcontroller, you learn that the stack is to be decremented as you goes on store. The address of the stack to be decremented as you goes on store the data into the stack, whereas in the normal data memory, where address is increase the address when you storing the data, right? So that is there in the process, right? So process states and state transitions. So what is the process states and state transition? Means the process traverses through a series of states during its transition from newly created state to the terminating states. To execute the process, it goes through the number of states, which we called a process life cycle. Start from newly created to execution completed, right? So this various states through which the process traverses through during a process life cycle, we called it as process life cycles, which indicates the current status. Here the state indicates states of the process indicates what is the current status of the process, whether the process is in ready, a process is terminated, or process is running, or process is created, and so on, right? So let's we see this in the diagram, which we can clearly understand here what is the states and state transition of the process. See, when the operating system created the process, right? So the process is in created state, right? Process is in created state, right? So in that, the operating system recognize the process in a created state, but no resources is allocated to the process. So here just it is created, but resources is not allocated. Once the resources is allocated to the process, it will become ready state, and it will ready for execution. See, in the created state, it is not ready for execution because the resources are not allocated, and it is not stored in a memory. Once this created process is stored in the memory and resources is allocated, then it will become a ready state, right, and ready for execution, right? Only the thing is that you need to allocate the CPU processor for its execution, right? So ready state, in the ready state, you see at this stage the process is placed in the ready list queue maintained by the OS. You see here OS is maintain a queue, right? So where a number of the process are in a ready state for execution. So the OS, based on its priority and based on its need, it's the operating system takes the process from the ready state to the running state, from the queue to execute the process, right? The state wherein as source code instructions and corresponding to the process is being executed is called a running state. So in the running state is a state at which the process execution is happening, right? So then finally the blocked state or a wait state, where the process is waiting for IO. Say when the process is in running state, suppose the process requires some IO for its operation, IO device for its operation, such as it is waiting for the keyboard to press a key, right? So if the IO is not allocate to running while the process is in running, or the IO is not ready, IO is busy with some other process. So at that time this process is taken into the blocked state, right, till the resources is allocated to this process, right? So after going in a blocked state, waiting state, when the IO devices or resources is allocated to that process, then process goes from blocked state to ready states, right? So you can see here the arrow mark shows here the transition from one state to another state. You see when process is in created state, so when you inserted this process into the memory, right, it will comes from created to ready state. Or you see here another the state transition, right? The state transition when you schedule for execution for the ready process, right, the process which is in a ready state comes to the running state. So when it is running, if this process requires some IO devices and waiting for resources, then this process is sent into the blocked state. When in the blocked state, when the IO is allocated to it, the resources is allocated to it will come to the once again ready state for once again to ready state and goes into the OS queue for OS queue for execution when OS is scheduled this process for execution, right? Then once this process is executed, right, executed after completion of execution, right, so the process which is in running state will go to the completed state, right? Once it will go to the completed state, right, the process is completed its execution, right? So this is about the process. See, process management is one which deals which manage the process for its execution. So what are the process management will do? Process management create the process, right? It's setting up the memory space for the process, loading the process code into the memory space, allocating the system resources to the process, setting up the process control block for the process, and process termination and deletion. The PCB here, process control block, holds all the information about the process. What is the process ID number, what is the process name, which are the process memory allocated, the process memory allocated pointer, the code pointer, the memory code memory which is allocated to the process that pointer, and the pointer for the data memory which is allocated to the process. All those things will be stored into the process control board. Next we'll go for the thread, right? A thread is a primitive that can execute a code. See, thread is a single sequential flow of control within the process. Within the process again we divided a several blocks, right? So which gives you single sequential flow. Those part within the process we called it is a thread. In other words, we can say that thread is also known as lightweight process. Means it is a part of a process, or it is lightweight process. The process can have many threads of execution, right? So process can have many threads of execution, or it can have a single thread also, right? Different threads which are a part of the process shares the same memory address, right? Address space, meaning they share the data memory, code memory, heap memory, data, right? A single data memory, code memory and heap memory area is shared by the different thread of a process, right? Threads maintain their own thread status, right? Such as a CPU, register value, program counter and stack. It has their own status registers. It has its own program counter, and it has its own stack. Whereas the data memory, code memory, it shares among the several threads of a process. The memory model for the process is given in a figure here. You can see this is the memory organization for the memory organization for the threads, right? In threads utilize a single data memory of a process, right? So many threads of a single process utilize the data memory which is allocated to the process single data memory, and as well as the single code memory which is allocated to the process, but it utilizes a different stack memory for different thread. You can see here stack memory for the thread 1, stack memory for the thread 2 and so on, right? So next we'll see concept of multi-threading, right? A process or task in embedded application may be complex or lengthy one, and it may contain a various sub operation like getting input from the IO devices connected to the processor, performing some internal calculations / operations, updating some IO devices, etc. Right? If all sub functions of a task are executed in a sequence, the CPU utilization may not be sufficient, right? So if lengthy program, the complex program within the process, if it is executing sequentially, right, then the CPU utilization is not proper. For example, if the process is waiting for user input, the CPU enters into the wait state for the event, and the process execution also enters into the wait state, right? Hence whole the process is enter into the wait state, right? Instead of that, what in multi-threading is doing, we divide the process into the number of threads, right? And means number of small tasks, right? So if one thread is waiting for CPU, we can execute another thread at that time, so that we can utilize the CPU instead of keeping CPU idle for waiting IO devices, right? So here multi-threading technique is a concept where we are concurrently executing number of threads. Instead of this single sequential the same thing which I explained here, right? This leads to more speedy execution of the process and efficient utilization of the process time and resources, right? So here you can see the multi-thread architecture of the process can be better visualized from this diagram. You can see a task or a process is divided into number of threads here. So here you can see in this diagram a task or a process divided into 3 threads: thread 1, thread 2 and thread 3. Right? Thread 1 utilizes its own register and stack. Thread 2 utilizes its own registers and stack. Thread 3 utilizes its own registers and stacks, but they all 3 threads utilizing same data memory and code memory which is allocated to the task or a process, right? So here you can see here usually how we creating the thread is the usually within the process the thread 1 usually is a main program. It is having a main program, whereas thread 2 and thread 3 is a sub program, right, where these threads sub program, they were these threads the sub program, that is thread 2 and thread 3 is calling from the main program, that is thread 1. Alright, this is how we created the thread. The concept of multi-thread advantage is that it is better memory utilization, right? Multiple thread of the same process shares the address space, so therefore better memory utilization, right? Okay, and then speedy execution of the process. So I told you that why speedy execution, because we cannot keep the CPU it is idle here, means so that therefore if you use multi-threading, so you can utilize the CPU to execution of another thread when the current execution thread is waiting for IO. Efficient CPU utilization, same thing here. Alright, so same thing you can see this advantage, right? Then we'll go for the thread standards, right? So this will continue in the next video, right? Till then you take care. Bye.